after the tripod, the next most important piece is a graduated neutral density filter. Now, don't let your eyes glaze over. It may sound a little scary, or it may sound like some techno babble, but I want to explain to you a very simple tool that will transform your photography. I don't know about you, but when I was beginning photography, I would go out into the mountains and I would take a picture, and what I would have is either I would have maybe the mountains perfectly exposed. They looked really good, and then above them the sky was completely white and there was nothing there. Or I would take a picture and the sky looked perfect, but everything in front of me was black. And I couldn't figure out how to deal with this great difference of light between what was in the foreground and what was up above the mountains. Well, there's this little tool that makes that possible. What I use these days is a graduated neutral density filter. Sometimes it's called a split neutral density filter, and sometimes it's called a variable neutral density filter. But regardless of the name, the concept is very simple. The top of this piece of resin is very dark, and then it slowly fades into nothing. And what that does is it holds back the light at the top of the image and allows what's in the bottom of the image to show through. Now, what's interesting is the human eye can see roughly 20 stops of light, and that's a measurement of light, whereas a camera can generally see somewhere around 6 stops of light. So what looks good to the human eye doesn't necessarily look good to the camera. The camera can't handle those extremes of light. And so by using this simple tool, which darkens the top of the frame and not the bottom, it allows the image to be more balanced out so that you can get an image that's closer to what your eyes actually saw. Now, when they say it's neutral density filter, what they mean is it doesn't have color to it. It is a gray, so it doesn't actually change the color of the image that you're taking. All it does is it darkens it out enough so that the camera can capture what it is that you're seeing. And when I take people out for workshops and we go into the field and we put this in front of their camera, they're just amazed at the difference it makes. They go from having pictures that look nothing like what they saw to instantly having images that begin to hold the color of the sky and the color of the mountains, and it really helps a lot. And then there are different varieties of these neutral density filters. What I look for is one that is called a soft neutral density filter. They have both a hard and a soft version. The hard version, it comes to a much more abrupt stop between the transition. And those work great if you're shooting on the Great Plains or out in the oceans. But here in the mountains, where our horizons are anything but flat, I suggest a soft neutral density filter, because that will enable you to not have a sharp transition line in the middle of your image. And then I also recommend, they come in different strengths. And here in the mountains, I recommend a 3-stop neutral density filter. And this, as I said, will transform your photography. Now, in order to attach it to your camera, you have to buy a separate little piece of plastic and a little ring that comes with it. And this screws right on the front of your camera. Let me show you how that works. The rings that come with this come in a number of different sizes, and so you can just simply look at your camera and it will say on the lens how big it is. This one says 77 millimeters. So I order a 77 millimeter ring, and you can get these on eBay or on Amazon or most camera shops for whatever size lens you have, and they screw right on nice and easily. And once they are on your camera, you have also this little plastic piece. And if you remember, I told you not to buy graduated neutral density filters from Koken. Well, the funny thing is, they're the only ones who make the adapters. So you're going to be looking for about $10 a Koken P filter holder that screws on to your camera. And then at that point, you can just slide that on and you're ready to take pictures. And you can take a picture of the mountains, and if the mountains and sky are too dark, lift it up. If they're too washed out, pull it down. And it's easy as that to bring balance to your photographs when you're shooting out in the mountains. I would say that probably between 70 and 80% of my photographs are taken with a graduated neutral density filter. Again, this will transform your photography and open up a world of possibilities. One thing I should mention though, the capacity of the camera to see a range of light is in the 5 to 6 stop range. Well, this will hold it back another 3 stops to a 9 stop range. But what that means is there's still another great degree of light that can happen during the day. Up to 20 stops of light we'll oftentimes see within a day. So this will only help you during those periods of transition during the morning. I use my graduated neutral density filter for about 10 to 15 minutes until the light is too harsh, and then even this isn't going to be strong enough to balance out that difference. The one additional piece of camera equipment that I'm going to recommend to be a good landscape photographer is not essential, but it is helpful, and this is a bubble level. One of the things I see a lot when I'm working with people who are learning photography is they end up with their horizon slanted to the right or to the left, and it can be very confusing. And when you look at an image and you feel like the water is running off the page. Well, a good way to avoid that is actually to buy one of these little bubble levels. I usually buy them on eBay. You can buy a pack of 10 for about $15, or you can go to B&H and you can pay $34 and buy one. It's up to you. But quickly can adjust both on the vertical and on the horizontal images, and this little bubble level will save you a ton of time and effort, and it costs very little and will help you to get images that are straight and level, because it can often be difficult to tell what is level when you're standing in the mountains and you don't have a horizon in the distance. And then I'd like to end by talking about what I think is the most essential piece of equipment you must have if you're going to be a good landscape photographer. It's the one piece that just about everyone forgets, and yet it's the piece that will probably make you an amazing landscape photographer. What we all forget about is the alarm clock. Yes, it's a pain, but if you're not there when the light is happening, it doesn't matter what equipment you have. It's essential that you know how to wake up in the morning. I actually use because my wife doesn't like it when I get up at 2 in the morning to go out and take a picture. She doesn't like me waking her up, so I'm now using a vibrating watch that I wear at night. So I can wake up, get out of bed in the middle of the night, head out to take my pictures, be there in time for a gorgeous sunrise without waking her. But I'm actually being serious. If we miss the right light, there's no reason even to go out. And so having an alarm clock, getting up early, is probably the most important thing for effective landscape photography. The equipment is all helpful, it's all needed, but it does us no good if we're not there in time. And so I hope that you've seen today that you don't have to have a great deal of gear. You don't need to spend a lot of money. Just a few basics will help you take good landscape photos. A digital SLR camera, a sturdy tripod, a graduated neutral density filter, a bubble level, and an alarm clock to get you out of bed. And in the next set of videos, we're going to begin to look at how to put these things into practice to actually begin to take effective landscape photos in Rocky Mountain National Park.